Okay, hi everyone, my name is Jade. So 2 years ago, I was literally where you guys were, standing outside helping CSS, and in my final year of uni. So that was careers like 2 years ago. So I didn't think I'd be where I am now. So yeah, I'll just let you know. I started my Bachelor of Criminology and Criminal Justice in 2012, and I finished in 2014. I went straight from high school to university, didn't take a gap year. I started my degree with a goal of getting into probation and parole. That's really what I wanted to do, or work in prison. These are a couple of the courses I did. So as I mentioned, I wanted to get into offender sort of related work. So I did a lot of stuff like offender profiling, I did rehabilitating offenders, forensic psychology, all that sort of thing. But as I got through uni, kind of like the girls before just said, I just found my taste sort of was shaped to a little bit of a different career objective. So I'll just continue. So while I was at uni, I got to do a lot of awesome things thanks to CCJ. So Griffith runs some really great conferences, and if you apply, you can actually go fully sponsored to these things, and I would recommend it 100%. Every year Griffith has a student leadership conference, so if you can go along to that, I would really recommend it. You can meet some great people, meet other student leaders from uni. And one year we went, CSS actually ran a workshop, so we got to teach other student leaders about an effective way of running your business at uni. And another great conference I went to is the Homicide Precursors and Prevention Conference, also part of one of Griffith's conferences, which was awesome. And another one which I recommend is the National Student Leadership Forum. So Griffith fully sponsored me to go to Canberra for a week. They paid for my entire attendance, and I got to work with Australian politicians, attend leadership workshops, and volunteer in the community there. So that was one of the best things I've ever done. And of course, I got to go to President Barack Obama's G20 presentation. So that was amazing and definitely a once in a lifetime opportunity. I don't know when I'm next going to be in a room with the president, but that was awesome. So I won't go into too much detail about CSS, but I was on CSS for 3 years, and if I can tell you anything at uni, it's to join CSS. It was the most fun thing I've ever done. I won't get to detail because Nick will probably tell you all the awesome things CSS do, but there's just a couple of things on there: pub crawls, ball, ghost tours, going to prison. You can go to prison for a day, have a look around there. Police academy, conferences, everything like that. CSS is awesome, so definitely join if you haven't already. Okay, so in my final year, I really started attending everything I could, from evenings like this, CSS events like networking with professionals, which are usually all of the academic staff here, and CSS Night of Crime charity events. So we have a lot of people like Crime Stoppers, QPS, that sort of thing come along, and just start talking to people, ask questions about potential career opportunities. I also made a LinkedIn profile, so I wouldn't say I directly got a job from that, but having a LinkedIn profile is really good for just keeping in contact with people you meet through uni. You meet at nights like this. I would really recommend that. So in my final year, I enrolled in 3007 CCJ and 3008 CCJ. So 3007 allowed me to really hone my professional skills. I got my resume checked, learned a bit about job interviews, sort of all the things that you need for when you graduate. And then luckily, I also got a placement when I did 3008. So I was placed at Ethical Standards Command, which is where I now work, at the Queensland Police Service. So I did a massive project, so you can see that project there, about performance and image enhancing drugs, which was a literature review survey of all police officers in Queensland, survey analysis, and some recommendations which I provided back to QPS. And I would say I got my job through that placement. I didn't get it directly, I'll explain in my next slide, but make the most of all the opportunities you have at uni. Like, if you get placement, even nights like this, just talk to everyone you can and try and establish some connections and keep those connections strong. Keep talking to people, email them occasionally. Okay, so I graduated in December 2014. I spent 2 months without a job. I was working my old job that I had from high school. Applying on smart jobs, was not having any luck with anything. So I started to get a bit bored by February 2015. I'd been jobless for a little while, and I contacted a police officer I met during my placement. And she actually asked me for my resume. I passed this on to her, and within 1 week, I started work at QPS. This was just a really basic admin role. I started doing reception work for Ethical Standards Command, so where I was doing my placement. I eventually moved on to complaint management, so managing all new complaints that come in about police officers and police staff members all across Queensland. I used this opportunity to really develop myself a bit further. I tried to meet as many people as I could. I went to talk to all the superintendents, the ACs, I met the commissioner a couple of times. Just trying to develop yourself, get people to check your resume, people who are already professionals in the field. And I don't know, I just sort of worked on myself as a professional, and there's really, basic admin roles. And in June last year, I was approached by an inspector at Ethical Standards who asked if I'd be interested in joining Queensland Health, which is not somewhere where I ever thought I would end up after doing this degree. So my current job, I won't go through all that because I'm running out of time, but you can come talk to me afterwards. I'm one half of the Queensland Health Police Liaison Unit, so it's myself and a detective inspector. My main job is intelligence and release of information. So we release information to Queensland Health about all health practitioners charged with indictable offences. So we have doctors stealing drugs, nurses committing sex offences, every horrible offence you can think of, we've probably seen committed by a health practitioner. So we basically aim to get them deregistered or give them a warning, that sort of thing. So I've got a couple of daily tasks there, and then where to from here? I've just sort of kind of been offered an opportunity to start as an investigator at another government agency, but I'm sort of working on that, so hopefully start there. And I'd really like to get into domestic and family violence because that's really another area I'm pretty interested in. And my tips for you, just have a read through there, pretty much like network, meet as many people as you can. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback on job applications, especially when you go on Smart Jobs, there's always a contact person on there. Definitely get some feedback. And get involved at uni, go to CSS events and do as much as you can. Thanks for listening, that's my contact details if anyone wants to contact me, and come ask me any questions afterwards. Thank you.